So, what is better for investments, commercial real estate or residential real estate? That is the age asked question. What will build you more wealth and make you more money month after month, year after year, and decade after decade? I get asked this question almost every single day. My team's done $1.6 billion transactions over the past few years, and we do all forms of real estate, from residential to commercial. Right now, a deal right now going on is $9 million for an apartment complex here in Austin, Texas. But we work pretty much in every single state across America, and I see these same things pop up time and time again. I'm going to give you the pros and cons of doing commercial real estate versus residential real estate. What's best for you? Now, first things first, you're going to be back and forth between our pros and our cons. I would say our biggest pro on this side of residential, this side over here commercial, is more often than not for a big pro is small deals. Depending on who you are, that is a huge pro. That means if you're brand new to real estate, you're not being creative, trying to sell a financing or sub twos and so forth, then you have a more opportunity to get deals locked up on this point of view. I want to make it a little bit bigger for you guys, gals. We want small deals, but not small writing. So number one is gonna be small deals is a huge pro. You can buy houses in the Midwest for $30,000, $20,000, $50,000. My first home I ever owned that I house hacked actually I was 20 was 32 or $36,000 for a 3-2 big backyard, one car garage. It was massive, and that home here in Austin would be easily worth $600,000. So small deals. If it's FHA, you can buy that house for like $1,000 down. It's super easy to do there. Now for commercial, what I would say is also a pro, depending on who you ask, or bigger deals. It also means bigger checks. So it is a pro and a con in a way, depending on who you are. But the nice thing about commercial real estate, which I come on pretty soon later on, is how you get loans. It's much different than a super simple strategy we see here in residential real estate. So this is a big, I'll say a pro. It's low down payments. So next one. Actually, let's do pros and cons back and forth. I'll say our next big con for this one, for residential, is emotions. When you're working with residential real estate, a lot of it's based on emotions. Do I like the floor plan? Do I like the layout? Do I like the painting? Do I like the finishings? Do I like the backyard and so forth? A lot of it's going to be way more emotional based in residential real estate as opposed to you would see in commercial real estate. Commercial real estate, nobody really cares how much or what it looks like. We care way more about like, does it cash flow? Does it make money? What is the value add and so forth? So I think the big con for us is emotions. Now, the big con on commercial though is deal flow. So I'm gonna kind of tie these together. Deal flow, I think, is one of the biggest hard parts about commercial real estate. 'Cause more often than not, if you have a great asset, most people don't want to sell them. They want to keep them and make more money every single month and year and build true wealth. That is the hard part about commercial real estate, is finding deals in the first place. Today, I probably looked at 50 to $100 million worth of commercial transactions just this morning and putting in LOIs for my clients. And like finding the right deals takes time. It takes calling, takes going through groups, takes going through taxis and platforms and brokers and direct to sellers themselves to finally transactions. But it makes it pretty hard to have more pickings. So that is our first big pro and con list. Our next big pro for residential real estate on that same point is lots of deals. There's way more liquidity in two aspects. There's more liquidity when it comes down to there are more buyers, there's more sellers, it's just people. Like everyone needs a place to live. Now, what you do, someone needs housing. So you are going to have a pretty good buyer pool. And right now, this is obviously the biggest buyer market we've seen over 15 years here in Austin and probably also across America as well. But with that being said, like we know there are tons of deals. Unlike most of real estate, deal flow is pretty hard. It's sometimes really hard to find these massive, massive deals. Now, on the same aspect, though, when it comes down to, well, same aspect, when it comes down to commercial real estate, obviously what's super nice about commercial real estate is that it's all about cash flow. So we have lots of deals which are super good, but like doesn't mean it's all gonna be a cash flow hand in play. It just means there's a lot of opportunities out there, and you can buy things to make massive amounts of wealth moving forward. Whereas for commercial real estate, you're just buying for cash flow and nothing else. That is the main purpose of why you buy commercial real estate, all through appreciation with equity and having true wealth being created though. So that's a big one. I think also another big con of residential real estate on that point too, though, kind of go hand in hand. It's going to be small cash flow. Oops, one pin. Small cash flow. The next one for commercial real estate, for residential real estate, you're probably only making $100, $200, $300 per door. So if you own 10 properties, all making you $100 per door in profit, obviously after all said and done, that means you made $1,000. In commercial real estate, you can buy one deal and make $1,000 a month. So the cash flow varies massively. And on that point too, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, like, yeah, but I'm spending way more money. On commercial and residential real estate, my deals are small, like $100,000, $300,000, and so forth. I can't find that in commercial real estate. Well, that's not totally true. There also are small deals out there, relatively, in commercial real estate. The biggest deal that happened in America was $24.5 billion. Yes, it would be massive. But right now, I have a deal under contract currently with my clients is $600,000. $600,000, but he would net free cash flow after all said and done around $20,000 to $40,000 per year. Let that really sink in real fast. I can buy a house for the same price, $600,000, unless I'm doing Airbnb and so forth. I'll make probably $100 per door, at least until my mortgage is paid off or past that 10-year point where my income is greater. But more often than not, even without that being said, it's a long time to wait. But two, from day one, he's cash flowing $20K on the same exact price property. Same exact price property. So this is why I think I like commercial real estate so much. But obviously, make your own informed decisions while I'm doing this whole breakdown. And if you want more support and more help, understand what to go towards, what not to go towards, and the whole breakdown down below, link in the description or the first comment. How to call me directly. I will walk you through the best steps, whether it's residential, commercial, buying or selling. Help you get the best results. I've negotiated deals over $250,000 off for my clients on the buy side for single family homes. The highest is $362,000. And of course, with selling houses, we break records almost every single time. And for commercial properties, selling within a couple of days for $100K above asking price. You know, with that, let us know. We can definitely help you in all different areas when it comes to getting the best deals. Now, another big con though for commercial real estate, it is not all rainbows and sunshines, is that it is slow. And when I say slow, I don't really mean the income or the wealth. I mean the whole process of you got buying the deal, finding the deal, and going through negotiations. Like the other saved my client $250,000 on. We was in negotiations for like a week and a half before we got on the contract. And then on the contract, we had to wait, a few more days for the lawyer to look at the PSA, which is the contract, and give us the line item back. We readjust things, more negotiations. It takes a long time on that one aspect. Whereas the next step, though, is like, I need to do environmental studies. I need to do inspections. I need to do walkthroughs. I gotta make sure I do phase 1 and 2. I gotta understand my underwriting process and so much more. Up above, a whole video breaks down underwriting for commercial real estate. It is pretty complex and long. But luckily, I'm a huge numbers guy, so I love it. But it is an overall slow process. Like my client right now, he used to be just single family properties. And now with my help, we're doing commercial real estate, and he's buying $1 million worth of it. But he's like, man, it's so much slow. That is the big downfall. But it is a worthwhile wait. Waiting for this payoff, I think, is definitely worth it for you guys and gals. So that is all first next list of pros and cons. Now, I guess another on that same point, a pro for residential real estate is that it is fast. You will be able to get a deal locked up and sold or bought in a week. Yes, in a week. I just sold a house 2 weeks ago. We sold for 11.1% of my asking price, $100,000, and under contract in 2 or 3 days, 8+ offers, more people try to make offers, already under contract. And we outperformed every home in a 1.5 mile radius, 1.3 mile radius. But on that same point, we was under contract for 3 days and sold in 7 days, like completely off the market. So 7 days, crazy fast. Commercial real estate, if you close in 60 days, 45 days, super fast. Like you close to 45 days, it's like crazy fast. Probably going to be like a storage unit that need not a whole lot of due diligence to do it. But typically, inspections or due diligence timeline is 60 days, 90 days sometimes 120 days in total to close on a transaction. That's 4 entire months. Whereas in single family homes, you can do it super quick. Typically 30 days, 45 days is kind of long, but 2 weeks to 30 days is like the sweet spot for residential real estate for timelines. Whereas for commercial real estate, to be 2 months to 4 months on average, what you're going to see for this whole breakdown. Now, I'll say another big pro, though, for commercial real estate, it kind of makes up for this, is creative financing. Unlike in residential real estate, like we're going to touch on pretty soon, it is way more creative. Like a DSCR loan is massive. This is the debt servicing coverage ratio that banks use to make sure the loan is going to pay for itself. They don't really care that much about your income. They care about the asset itself because the asset is the liability. It is the collateral. If you default, they will say, okay, I don't want this property, but like I know it should pay for itself through this property with its own cash flowing income. And typically, we want to see a 1.25 on that, meaning that it makes 25 cents more per dollar on that property. Where's the sweet spot here? That's what we want. Now, I'll say the con for residential real estate is that it is simple financing. Now, can you be creative? Of course. You can do sub-twos, you can do wraps, you can switch to sub-two, you can do financings and carries and so forth. There are ways to make this creative, but at the same time, like, it's way easier to do this. Also, I will say too, DSCR loans still apply to residential real estate. It's not as much. That's just like duplex or quadplex, which is kind of like, to me, the bridge to commercial real estate. But single-family homes too, depending on how it's structured, can work for you. But like they care about your criteria. Like how long have you had a job for? What's your credit score? What's your income? What's your debt to loan ratio? All these things is a big part of the financing rule. You have FHA loans, obviously, and Fannie Mae, Fannie Mac. All these things super helpful. But at the end of the day, what I like commercial real estate is that you're able to get loans on a property super easily. If I buy a deal, let's say for $10 million, and my debt coverage every single month, or debt services every single month, this is say easy math, was $50,000, and my NOI on that property, again, the whole breakdown on all this stuff up above is all new to you. But if my NOI is $1 million, that means that I'm gonna be cash flowing like $400K per year after all expenses. Like debt free cash flow on a $10 million property, which sounds like a lot, kind of is, but those deals like small ones in the commercial road, $20K per year at $600,000. So the math kind of equals up. Just so you guys know the context there. But again, the banks will loan you that money. You can get a great deal way below market value at a 10, 12% cap rate, 8% cap rate. They will loan you money on these deals because of that. Now, I would say a big con, though, of the same aspects for commercial real estate is going to be complex underwriting. Way more complex. For single family homes, if you're an investor, you have a few equations, 7% rule and so forth, 1% rule for income, 50% rule for how much expenses it's going to be for you. All pretty simple when it comes to investing in residential real estate. For commercial real estate, I have to know the business model. I have to understand comps. I have to understand cash flow. I have to understand NOI and equations and so forth. You understand how to really make sure to make this a real business, so business side as well. So you're pretty much a business broker at the same exact time. And this is a more complex thing. And most agents you will look at, you see the OM firms and the T-12s and the rent rolls and so forth have a lot of little deceptions built into it, where you see like no property manager, or they'll do a super, super low ratio when it comes to expenses. Like we all know, it takes a lot of money to run a business, which is commercial real estate. If my complex had a 10% expense ratio, I know there's something wrong there. Or let's say they're hiding things through their property taxes, or having it as a expense, but also as an income because of passing through things. So all these different strategies you can do to really hide the true numbers of a property. I saw a deal last week. We originally talked them down $1 million. Yes, $1 million on this property. And we still, multi-million dollar deal for us. And they promised us a 8% cap rate. Maybe even 9% cap rate. And if all is said and done, going down there, seeing the property, walking the grounds, locking up the deal, and seeing the OM they had, they finally gave us the most recent T-12s and rent rolls and P&Ls and all these things. And we saw, like, wow, this is way, way off. This is actually a 3 cap, and you guys are pretty much losing money every single month. But the OM they gave us is all pro forma, so it looked amazing on paper until you do the deeper due diligence. Which is also why it took so long to give it to us. And of course, also, you should probably wait to do this kind of things. Now, for my client, I structured all PSA or LOI to kind of make sure no money was lost. So honestly, we backed out of the deal, lost no money, and we just wasted a couple hours of the time going there. But otherwise, super easy. We know we had it because we had other offers on hand, supposedly. So way more complex. And again, if you want help with all things residential or commercial real estate, down below, link in the description. Have call me directly. My team runs all this for you. Again, we've done over $1.6 billion in transactions with my team directly, and then my business partner client mentor as well. He's done like billions of dollars in transactions and raised billions of dollars as well and deployed it to his own funds and through working with family offices and so forth. So we are quite sophisticated when it comes to all things commercial real estate. But that I think is a huge one that most people have no clue and really talk about. Like when it comes to residential real estate versus commercial real estate, the underwriting process is a much different thing. You have to make sure you know what you're doing and to understand like just the nuances of the area, of the business, of the other agent, and so much more. It takes a lot more bandwidth to do it. So on that point too, I would say it is easy for residential real estate to really do. It's just an easy business model. Like literally, you just like find a deal. Okay, I have low down payments. I can do some creative things. I can buy a house, FHA, 3.5% down. Let's say I'm $100K out of pocket. The equity transfers over to it, and then afterwards, I also can use that same exact strategy. So then pull out money in the next deal and buy more properties. The whole thought process of investing in general is pretty easy and simple. But like for residential real estate, it is even easier. That is to be like next to none. Number two, though, for why I like commercial real estate so much, is that you can force appreciation. And you can do that too with residential real estate as well. I can buy a house, and instead of the house I live in now, I can buy it. I can add in new flooring, new things for a relatively low amount of money, and then do a reappraisal of that property. Instead of buy it for $1 million and then I reappraise it for 1.3, I just made $300,000 in forced equity. But you just saw though that took me spending $50,000 to $100,000 probably, give or take, of expenses and labor and construction to make that happen. It's not as easy all the time to do that. So it's not based on cash flow, it's based on the house itself. Whereas with commercial real estate, I can buy a property that is $1 million, and let's say I buy it at a 6 cap. It means that it makes, $60,000 a year, and income if the NOI is $100,000. So I'm making a 6 cap, and that's kind of the breakdown of what's going on in my scenario there on that $1 million property. Sorry, if it's a $1 million property, I'm making $60,000 a year NOI. That is my 6 cap. And I want to have a really enticing business model. So I buy this property below market value at the $1 million, and I then use my business skills of marketing and advertising or just increasing rents to make my NOI go from a 6 cap to a 10 cap. All I did was did a few phone calls, did some ads, and I filled up the place. That is a multifamily complex, or that is a storage unit, all pretty simple. Or I called them, increased rents by 8 to 12%. List goes on. All pretty relatively easy to do. But by doing that, I just increase the value greatly. So like, for example, we have a deal right now, it's like $1.4 million under contract. And once we buy it at 8 cap, we will add in more opportunities for higher rates. We'll add in more cameras and more security and more management to say, hey, this property is now more valuable. I'm going to increase your rents by 10%. I'm going to add in insurance and other things as well, so you're more protected that I also make money on as well too. And then from there, I went from a $1.4 million property to a 1.8 or $2 million property just by changing the management structure. Really easy to do and no out-of-pocket expenses for the most part. So forced appreciation is super easy to do when it comes to commercial real estate, whereas in residential real estate, not as easy. A con when it comes to commercial or residential real estate is that it's hard to scale. Easy to do, hard to scale. If you look up, which I'm obsessed with, because my goal to become a billionaire hopefully the next 25 to 15 years minimum, but probably 25 years, is to go through real estate, mostly commercial real estate, is you look at all the billionaires in real estate. I would say that 90% of them, probably 99% of them, did so through commercial real estate, or they did so through residential real estate at a large scale, like building out entire communities, which in a sense is like commercial real estate. So hard to scale when it comes to residential real estate. If you buy 1, 2, 5, 10 units, and also at 10 units, more often than not, if you do commercial loans, you're capped at how many homes you can buy. So for you to buy even more properties, yeah, leverage creative financing like sub twos and owner financing, or you can leverage your friends' LLC and tax and all the stuff they have for themselves instead. So the LLC is being leveraged, and so is the credit scores. You only have so many homes in your name as an individual, less is commercial loans. So it's also hard to go that point too, but it's more of a management side of things, and then the structural side of things is hard. Because if you are not buying all the homes in one little pocket, having a manager in place becomes nearly impossible within reason in terms of this loss of money. Do people do this? Of course. People do it all the time. They're great SOPs, great systems. You can scale this to high levels, but it will be harder to do. Which is why the con for commercial real estate to next is going to be the opposite of that. It's easy to scale. A lot of times you buy assets with managers in place already, and for residential real estate, not as fruitful though. Much harder to do. Now, our next big con when it comes to real estate for the commercial side is kind of on the same page here. It's hard to manage. Now, it is easy to scale, but it's hard to manage. Not because it is dispersed, fall apart, because it's hard to find good help. That is when it comes to anything, even if the initial real estate, finding good help is always the hardest thing. From having the right pay, not losing the equity of the property, or losing NOI of the property because you pay them so much money. It has these reliable, stable, ready-to-do jobs. It is a big nightmare. You see a lot of times, unless it's a super high-end Class A property, that you have a manager for the property manager. Like you have people in place, a whole legit business, all running without you, kind of like a hotel, which is the asset class inside commercial real estate. Hard to manage. Look at any job out there. Having a good manager is hard. You probably know that your manager you work for, or if you know a co-manager that works with you, like, man, that person's not that good at their job. So that happens as well in commercial real estate. So it's hard to manage people on that side of the spectrum. Now, I can go on for days and days and days, but I think these are probably the biggest ones that I've seen when it comes to the pros and cons list of both of them. Obviously, a quick recap. Small deals, less down payment. You can buy these properties for way less money, but even with commercial real estate, you can buy properties that are not using your own money. You need down payments, but you can do sometimes zero down for seller financing, or you can do a SBA loan because it's still a business for 10% down. You can do 20% down, which is kind of standard. 20 to 30% down is standard for commercial real estate. However, there's a thing called a reverse equity play, where you take out a working capital within reason after it closes 2 or 3 days later. That working capital could be 100K, 500K, or higher. And that pays you back all your down payment. Now it's given back to you. You can buy more properties time and time again. Like my lender we use, they're amazing. They have clients that are doing 400 deals at one single time. Like they own 400 transactions through the same strategy within 5 years. Because they'll buy a property, this creative financing strategy, they put down $500,000, they get back $500,000 a couple days later and buy another one, and buy another one, and buy another one. It's so easy to scale that. For this one, a lot harder to do. Now, obviously, both of them Number one is tax purposes. You can do taxes for both of these. Obviously, I think for commercial real estate, you have bigger tax plays. You can do 1031 exchanges as well for both of these. So, a pro tip for you: if you really want to get into commercial real estate, you can do a 1031 exchange from your property sale into commercial real estate because it is like properties. That means there's no capital gains for you. So you're kind of transferring over your cash from residential into commercial. Our client right now, we have a home with them for $1.3 million to sell, but they have to have home to sell on top of that, and we do a 1031 exchange with the proceeds into commercial real estate for them. At least not the home they live in, but the other home they rent, because like properties, home meant for cash producing incomes. These are the big things. Down below, let me know, what do you think? What wins? Commercial real estate or residential real estate? Down below in the comment section, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What wins for you, residential or commercial? I am obviously super big on commercial real estate. And this is coming from a guy, I'm one of the top agents in the country, top 1%, probably even higher, honestly, at real estate. And especially when it comes to residential real estate originally. And over the past, while now, I've transferred over to commercial real estate, and now I'm top in that field as well. And I have seen both of these super intimately for myself and for my clients, doing $1.6 billion in transactions, and now I'm mostly doing commercial real estate personally and for my clients as well. This one wins for us time and time again. It's easy to scale. You have way more leverage. You can get bigger cash flows, build more wealth. It overall is easier and use the managers as well outside of the managers themselves. So if you want help with buying the best assets, if you want to buy single family homes, we can help you with that. If you want to buy commercial real estate as well, we have your back, helping almost all 50 states and 25 different countries. So down below, link in the description, call me, my team directly. Happy to help you out. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, tag your friends. I'll see you at the top. Have the best of yet. Happy to have you here.